Welcome to Itzy the Little Vegan's Cooking Show. I'm Itzy the Little Vegan, and today we're going to be making sweet corn pancakes. Now, I love these pancakes not only because they're a perfect blend of sweet and savory, but also because they're gluten-free. I like to start with mixing my dry mix in the bowl and doing my wet mix in the Vitamix. Now, we'll start with the dry mix. The dry mix consists of 1 cup of gluten-free all-purpose flour, and I use 1 cup of organic cornmeal. I use 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Now these two are your raising agents, and I'm going to do ½ teaspoon of sea salt, which helps bring out all the beautiful flavors of these wonderful sweet and savory pancakes. Then we're going to go ahead and give it a nice mix. And then we're going to do our wet ingredients. Now for my wet ingredients, I did 1/4 of a cup of Earth Balance, which is a vegan butter. I used 1/4 of a cup of tofu. Then I did 1/4 of a cup of maple syrup, ½ a cup of orange juice, which gives it a really nice fresh taste, and 1/2 of a cup of light coconut milk. I like to use the canned coconut milk because it doesn't have a lot of those extra ingredients that the non-dairy milks have that are in the carton. This is actually just coconut milk and water. 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar, which actually reacts with the coconut milk and the orange juice to make it curd. So again, it makes it more like an egg-like consistency. Then I'm going to mix my wet ingredients and my dry ingredients. And if you can see in there, it actually looks pretty eggy. Like you can see it looks thick. Now I didn't melt my butter for this, but it works a lot better if you melt your butter actually. Now I'll give you a little piece of advice. If you're having breakfast for a lot of people, it's much better if you have a really light batter, a really thin batter. That way you can make almost crepe-like pancakes, and you can cook them on high heat. So that way they cook within 2 minutes. Otherwise, the thicker your batter is, the longer it takes to cook and the lower temperature that you should. I also recommend if you use a lid for your pan, then they actually cook a little bit faster. But this is, I'll show you with a little ladle how thick my mix is. So my mix is pretty thick. So these are going to be pretty thick mix. 1 cup of organic corn. Might be all of my corn. So I'll just put the rest of that in there. Okay, and then I'm going to mix that in. Again, this is a pretty thick mix. So I would suggest if you're making it for a lot of people, go ahead and make it thinner. Then bring it over to your pan. I'm going to put I put a little blob of vegan butter to help cook. And I'm using a non-stick pan. That is going to be the easiest way to make these pancakes. Now that this is melted, I'm going to pour a little scoopful. And I guess the other thing I didn't mention is if you wait till the pan's actually hot enough, it'll be easier. And another thing that you can add to it that would be like super tasty would be if you added a little bit of vegan cheddar cheese, which I love, especially if you're doing like a breakfast for dinner type of thing, which is what we're actually doing today. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my vegan cheddar cheese. Oh, well actually I have pepper jack, but this thing's really good too. Now I'm telling you about all the brands that I'm using just because I really have gone through a lot of brands of things, and these are just the ones that I either find to have the best consistency or the best taste, or maybe they just have the best ingredients, like they don't have a bunch of preservatives or something. Okay, so when you're cooking your pancake, before you flip it, you want to make sure that the edge is nice and browned. And you want to see the inside, like bubbles are coming up through it. So once you see those bubbles coming up, then you can throw your cheese on there. And this cheese actually like expands a lot, so you don't want it to be too cheesy.